Well, Oliver Zipse, CEO of BMW, thanks so much for speaking to us, speaking to Bloomberg on the eve of the Munich Auto Show, where really BMW of the European car makers really headlining the event with the release of the new Neue Klasse, this new sort of era-defining car for BMW. I believe we have the iX3 that's there behind you. I'd like for you to sort of detail for us what we can expect from this new car, its significance for BMW. How is the experience of driving the Neue Klasse going to be different, a brand you've put so much energy into in the last few years?
Well, for us, the Neue Klasse is the end of a journey and at the same time the start of a journey. It marks the end of a 5-year development cycle where a majority of BMW employees were involved. So the result is the best we can do to have a global product with really benchmark features in it. It has 800 kilometers range, it's fully electric. You can charge 370 kilometers range in only 10 minutes, and we have 400 kilowatts charging. And the initial feedback from everyone who has driven the car, and that is your question, is really amazing. The features the cars have, the performance the cars, how it feels. We have a new user interface. So we are very excited to begin the second part of the journey now.
Yeah, and this is much more, I just want to linger on this point because it's much more than a product launch. This is really betting the whole next chapter of BMW on these series of cars. And for many European automakers, some fears in the industry that it could be their last chapter. Can you illustrate for us the sort of how important this is for the strategy going forward for BMW and how it sort of situate us in this moment, not just for BMW, but for the European auto industry?
Well, as you know, Oliver, the automotive industry is a competitive industry, and BMW stands for competitiveness. So that's why we put all our technologies in, and of course, we made sure that these technology will not have a time of 3, 4, 5 years that all the cars will see it. No, we will have the majority of our portfolio will be updated with the technology clusters of the Neue Klasse inside of 2 years. It's the panoramic iDrive, it's the 6th generation of our eDrive, and of course at the core and the heart of BMW is the joy of driving, and also with 4 super powerful computers in the car. I think we will be very competitive.
And given the sort of importance of the Neue Klasse, you've referred to it as the biggest ever investment that BMW has made. Can you put some numbers around that? How much money has gone into developing this new series, this new sort of era for BMW?
Well, when you start a large project like this, it's of course scalable. It's right in the middle of BMW. It's not a niche project. It goes right into the high volume. And if you take everything together, the super brains in the car, the new drive technology, the electric batteries, and of course the infrastructure to do that, the plants and so on, it was well over 10 billion euros.
And in terms of the sort of visual design of the car, because BMW, unlike...
To add on that, yeah.
Please.
I think what is also important, we already spent that money, and at the same time we achieved a high profitability of the company. So it's not an either-or, either investing or being profitable. We managed to do that at the same time. I think that is also very important.
And in terms of the visual design of the car, because this obviously for many people is as important as any kind of performance, there's a lot of divided opinion about what EVs should look like. Automakers are really finding their way through this. How did you settle on this? BMW takes more risk than some of the other German car makers. How do you settle on this new design?
Well, when we started the project, we wanted to have a new design language, and even a design language which has a futuristic touch to it. And design is an external design and internal design. The external design, you don't see any more chrome on the cars. All the highlights of the car is light. So our design, which is very sleek, very clean, very precise, is also underlined by lights. Also the day driving light emphasizes that. And on the internal side, we have a completely new user interface. Eyes on the road, hands on the wheel. This is the most important thing also for safety reasons. And it looks for us, even now that we launched the car, that we almost skipped a complete design generation.
Yeah, and I think that that's something that, for a lot of people, we see a lot of concept cars in the industry, and then the cars sort of come out afterwards. They don't really look like that. BMW has really gone to that distance, I think it's fair to say. In terms of the specs, we've talked about the iX3. What we do not have yet is the price. How much is this car going to cost?
Well, it will start below 70,000 euros. There will be a 6 in front of it. So the pricing will be very competitive. The price is achievable. And if you compare that to the content of the car, this is extremely competitive. And that's not only this car. We will also today make an announcement that that the car will be accompanied by an i3, by a limousine, by a sedan. That will also have, when we announce the price, a very competitive price. And that's a lot of value for money in these vehicles.
And you're confident, you're not concerned that potentially in China that they can come out with a car that has a 5 in front of it, a 4 in front of it. You think that BMW still has that premium quality that can justify that price?
Absolutely. When we look at what BMW does, first of all, quality first. The second is of how does the car feel? It's not a number and feature count we just add together. How does it feel? This car is more BMW than ever. And as you know, BMW everywhere in the world, including China, has a strong brand image. And I think we will underline that specific brand image. This is the best overall product in the industry.
And that pricing figure that you gave is for Europe. Do you have an idea of what you're going to be charging in China? What is the sort of comfortable price level for the Chinese market?
We will come with the long version of the car you see behind me next year, and then we will also announce the prices. What is important about China is that there's a lot of local content in the car. It's not only the battery, but also a lot of software. We cooperate with a lot of Chinese partners over there. And I think that is also important to know. There in China, it will also be a very Chinese product. And it will be more Chinese than ever. We cooperate with Alibaba, with DeepSeek, with Huawei, and so on.
And on the issue of China, the question of China, I'd like to get your appraisal right now of kind of what you're seeing in the Chinese market. You said recently that there's starting to be some green shoots. Is that accelerating? What is your expectation for the rest of the year in terms of sales in China?
What we see in China, of course, it's since a couple of years the largest car market in the world. And it's no surprise that there a local car market, car industries has been developed. And that is the suppliers have developed, but also car makers developed. Now, this is a very young industry over there. You see a lot of new players in the industry, and I think that makes the industry very strong. It's not a surprise to us. But it will not only be local players. There will be room for international companies like BMW with a very high technological competence, which is interlinked and combined in a cooperative manner with the development of the Chinese industry. So that development phase, which is characterized also by price wars and so on. But I think with our product, we are and we will be competitive even in China.
And I'd like to also get your perspective on the hybrid. We've seen a massive popularity of the hybrid within Europe, and I'd like to have an understanding of kind of what you think the hybrid plays in terms of BMW's strategy going forward. Is this just a bridge technology into the EVs? Is this something that is going to be with us for a lot longer? And if it is that, is it something that BMW is going to devote more money in terms of R&D to try to develop and to try to advance?
Well, if you look at current market developments, the hybrid is increasing in share. The BEVs are increasing even faster, but at the same time, at least at BMW, our hybrid market share is increasing. So there is an essence that this is very valuable to our customers. When we talk about technology openness, that means there will be a future for the current drivetrains we offer, at least for the foreseeable future. And let's not make a mistake. At the end, consumers decide what has a future. And currently, having the ability to offer all drivetrains in different markets is an advantage, is a competitive advantage. And the PHEVs, as we call them, the plug-in hybrids, is part of that competitive advantage.
And I'd like to just get your perspective on what we've been talking about for the last few months. No doubt you're probably sick of talking about tariffs, but now that we have the tariff regime in place more or less in the United States, I'd like to get your impression of what the impact has been on U.S. sales and your bottom line in the United States.
Well, as you know, our largest single plant stands in the United States. So we have a substantial footprint in the United States. We exported more than $100 billion worth of cars in the last 10 years. We invested more than $50 billion in our local footprint with the Spartanburg plant. So we are not only an importer, we are also an exporter in almost equal size. And I think it's important that we quickly now come to conclusion of the tariff agreement, which involves 15% import duties into the United States, but 0% import duties in the European Union. And I think that is also very important for the European Union to send a signal. We are not afraid of competition. We have a strong industry, and I hope that we can conclude this deal very quickly.
And on the other side of that, if we are sort of to expect 0% tariffs for cars being shipped from the United States into Europe, as you say, you've said many times that you're the largest in terms of volume of dollar amounts of exporters from the U.S. What effect would that have on the bottom line, the reduction of the European tariffs for BMW?
Well, just make a very simplified calculation. Assuming we export from Europe into the United States as much value and as much vehicles as we export from the United States into Europe. Let's just make that assumption.
Yeah.
In the sum of tariffs, we had 10% into Europe and 2.5% into the United States until last year. Now, if you add that together, it's 12.5%, and now we're 15%. So it's not that big of a difference. And therefore, I hope that everyone recognizes that in Europe we also have acting global companies who have a global footprint, who import and export at the same time, and the profitability of these companies also help the European Union and Germany.
And just a final question for you, Mr. Zipse. It's been obviously a challenging year for many in the automotive industry. We've had, particularly in Europe, BMW is the best performing in terms of the stock, and you've got a lot of sort of positive stories to tell. I was also looking this up a little bit earlier, that you are now almost 5 billion euros bigger than Mercedes-Benz in terms of market cap. That is something that you can never say has ever happened before for BMW. It's only overtaken Mercedes a few times. Is this just a moment, Mr. Zipse, or is this the moment in which BMW officially and forever overtakes Mercedes-Benz?
Look, a capital market value consists of very many parameters. But in a sense, it's what our investors think about our future. And we think, especially with the cars you see behind me, and it's a full family of cars, we have a convincing approach and a convincing argumentation that BMW has a bright future, and if that is expressed in capital value, even better.